My name's Tony Armour. I keep saying every time I do these that you're a new film commissioner in Dallas. It's been 8 months or so now, so I don't know if I'm still new.
You feel like home, Tony. You feel like home.
Still new. And this, of course, is Julio.
Thanks, guys. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. There's a lot of...
They're not here for you.
I know. It's really good.
But I think we actually have a trailer we're going to show.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just to kind of... Okay, so this workshop isn't about me just talking, an actor talking. That can suck really quick. What I want to know, hands up, how many of you are thinking about being actors? Just raise your hand. No worries. Okay, awesome. The second question is, how many of you have already started? Okay, and how many of you have been around a while? Okay, so it's a nice mix. I'm a very transparent person. I'm a no bullshit artist. I will call it like it is. If you ask me how much money I make, I'll tell you how much money I make. If you want to know, I won't get myself sued, but I'll give you pretty much as much. I want to pull the mask off, and that's how I work. And I'm not here because I'm just so talented. I had to be very savvy. I had to figure it out. This all happened before the internet. And I'm 53. I'm not hiding anything. But I work hard, and you can't replace working hard to just working. So I'm going to be here. So the day when you leave here through this workshop, through the Dallas Film Commission, and with Tony Armour, they are doing some incredible things for us here in town. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And it's about straight talk, real talk, no bullshit anymore. But we have to be our own advocates, we have to work hard for ourselves, and we have to be honest with ourselves about what we're doing in this business on all fronts. That's what I'm going to cover today. And I don't want to start getting into rabbit holes. I'll answer questions, and if I need to tell stories, I have a million stories that just are awesome, and they're fucked up too. But they serve a purpose. In the end, it's about you getting to your potential. So when you walk out of here, I want you to at least feel like you walked away with a few things under your belt, and you're going to tell yourself, I got some homework for myself. That's the whole purpose of this tonight. Okay? So I'm going to try to remember that as we're having conversations. So I was sensing a theme on your reel, Julio. Yes, I am Mexican, I know. Mexicano 100%, nacido en Durango.
My first question.
I became a citizen at 30 years old, so full disclosure.
How many times have you died?
Too many times, friends. Too many times.
You cut together just a reel of all your
So many deaths. Did anybody see The Harder They Fall? I played the priest. Who gets killed, by the way? Yeah, so what you just saw was a million miles away. You know, we're not supposed to plug. Right now we're on strike, but I don't know. But I'm not the 1%. I'm not the 1% making millions of dollars. We all need to work, right? Sadly, 5%. I think is how many people actually work, and there's a little over 170,000 SAG-AFTRA members.
Which actually seems pretty low.
It's very low, and then you take 5% of that? That's even lower. It's really low. What are we doing? What do we do? We're just hobbyists, and we're not. The ones who want to be actors are not, you know. And even if you don't, look, I'm not where I am because I'm great. I always wanted to be an actor. That's like in my DNA, like hardcore from the time I left Mexico and came here, because I didn't know how to speak English well, and I learned how to speak English watching TV. My mom would put me in front of a black and white TV set, and I was mimicking Jimmy Stewart, and I would play around watching Christopher Walken, you know. So you're going down fast. You know? So that was that kid who had no parent because the parent had too many other kids. So I was the one Mexican kid going, man, these American movies are amazing. So I spent the first part of my life wanting to be white because all the movies I saw, I wanted to be in those black and white movies. And they're like, no, we just need you to be the peasant. I don't understand why you're here doing Jimmy Stewart. Anyway, it's not a comedy act, but what was your question?
There wasn't one. We're just
okay.
let's go. Find you out as learning what let you go, basically.
People need
got started, learning to speak English watching television, I think it's something I've heard before from, immigrants in general. Like that's all.
From the best actor, you've heard it from the best actors. That's where you've heard it from. No, I'm kidding. No, that it was because when you're watching, when you're a kid watching TV, and yes, I'm not going to harp on the fact that I'm Mexican. It's obvious, but it's true. Like I was born in Mexico. We came to the U.S. when I was almost 5. I lived in a small. My dad was married to my mother for 4 years, and she wouldn't leave Mexico. And he kept trying to convince her to move. They were married for 4 years, and my mother said, no, racistas, they're racists over there. And my dad's like, no, it's not that bad. And my mom's like, you're a truck driver. He's like, well, I know the best truck stops, so. But he did. He eventually convinced her to move, and she did. And we were in Abilene. Well, we were in a small town called Ty, Texas, right outside Abilene, Texas, where we lived in a mobile home, and that's where my mom was sitting in front of me, and I'd watch all these old movies. And then we moved to Fort Worth when I was 5. But I absorbed all my American education came from movies, which is really sad, but not really.
I think it's awesome.
It's awesome for me, but that's where I learned phonetically that I was doing something phonetically. I didn't know what the word phonetically was until I went to an acting school. And I'm going to plug this school because it's a badass school. It's here in Dallas. At the time it was called KD Studio. But and I remember I would talk to the founder, Kathy Tyner, and I would say, it just sounds like a beautician school. We changed the name, so luckily the name became KD Studio Actors Conservatory of the Southwest. I don't know what it's called. Bob, are you here? What is it called now? KD Conservatory. Back then it was KD Studio Actors Conservatory of the Southwest.
When did you start doing that?
So
high school?
I got out of high school because at the time, it's an associate degree of applied arts. And I know I'm skipping, and that's okay for me to skip because I have a whole lifetime, but let's skip to this. I knew I wanted to be an actor, and at the time there was no internet, it was Yellow Pages. And so my parents didn't have money for me to go to the schools I wanted to go to. I wasn't smart enough to get awesome degrees in full rights, but I ended up flipping, and I found this big ad in Yellow Pages that said KD Studio, and it was actors, and I was like, oh my God. So I had my dad drive me, and my dad was, and I love my dad. My dad was my biggest fan, but he bitched all the way, not in a bad way, kind of in a indirect way. He was like, "You sure this thing's for you?" Yeah, it's great. Do they make money? I should have said no, they don't in the beginning. But anyway, so he took me, and the funny thing about KD Studio back then, if you go to KD Studio today, and I'm not trying to plug schools, but that is a special place in my heart. And you can go wherever you want, but I walked into that school, and I saw, they had black and white headshots. And when I walked in there, they only had 9 graduates for that season, right? And I'm walking in, I'm going, wow, Jimmy James, man. Wow, he's famous. Sylvia Gill. Man, I didn't meet her. They were all black and white headshots. There was 9 of them. I didn't know it was just their graduating class for showcase. And I was thinking they were famous. I thought these were famous people. So I was wrong, but yeah, and as soon as I saw, they had rooms that had maybe 10 chairs, and then you would peek in and you're like, there's nothing there. How is that a classroom? And then they had a black box theater. Now that I knew because I had taken so many workshops in high school. But there was something about that place that was spiritual, and I just knew this is my place. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll make it quick. I did go through the program, and nobody did some sales pitch or whatever, You know why? I'll tell you why. And I know some schools can do that, and schools have to be alive, and they have to have students in to be open. I had no point of reference. I had my high school. I went to a high school in Fort Worth called Dunbar High School. It was an all-black school. And it's great, beautiful.
One Mexican.
Por favor. I'm really black, and I'll tell you why. No sé lo que está pasando, pero soy cubano, okay? I'm black, but Latino, let's not forget it. So when I was there, so I went to know, I was in Diamond Hill, Latinos, we had gangs from the 80s. We did drive-bys, man, none of this bullshit, you know, you see now, we worked for our gangs, you know, Eagle Street, La Loma. We did. Oh, Boys in the Hood, that's pretty accurate. Now I'm like, where's Boys in the Hood? But I was a smart kid, but the reason I ended up in the magnet school in Fort Worth at Meacham Middle School, we had gangs. I'm in the cafeteria and I see one of these vatos locos running. And the vice principal's chasing him down. I move over, and as I move over, the kid jumps over. The vice principal's grabbing him, and the kid just does this and cuts him enough for blood to go everywhere. And I go back. I'm freaked out. The principal's on top of the kid. They're on him. They take him away, and I'm sitting there, and I'm freaked out of my mind. I'm in 6th grade, and then I go home and I'm shocked. Now I live in back then, my neighborhood was tough, but I never saw that. And so I knew, like, I can't be here. By the way, when I say I'm Mexican, my mom didn't let me play in the front yard because those vatos locos, they don't like Mexicans. Meaning, the first person who discriminated me was not a white person or a black person. It was some cholo who was on his little rider, and he says to me, and by the way, I love my neighborhood, and I love those vatos locos. But that vato loco looked at me, he goes, hey man, where are you from? And I said, I'm from here. He said, no man, vato, where are you from, man? Are you from Mexico? I said, see? Yeah. He's like, no man, you're a wetback. And then he goes, yeah, he's got the white beater, and he's got the hat, the big Chuck Connors. And I was like, what's a wetback? I had no idea, so I go tell my mom, who knows way more, and at that point she goes, you're not playing up front anymore. So my mom protected me from the gangs. So when I'm in middle school and I see this thing happen, then I realize I can't go to this school. I'm now scared. Luckily, there was a magnet program starting up in Fort Worth, and when you say magnet program, that's like advanced placement. My school that I went to, Dunbar High School, okay, there's stop 6, my hood. I didn't live there, but that was my hood because that's where I spent my whole, from 8th grade all the way to 12th grade. And I'm glad I went to an all-black school because that was my first time seeing, in my neighborhood we had blacks, but they sounded like Mexicans. When I went to Dunbar, oh, they were black. But we had the same upbringing, we had the same stories, we had the same experience. So all of a sudden, the blackness was my blackness, my Mexicanness was their Mexicanness. And so it was amazing. So I was so happy to go to that school, but it was the high school for engineering professions. So I was gonna leave there being an engineer. I was gonna go to MIT and Stanford like everybody else. But here's the problem. I was still Jimmy Stewart and Christopher Walken. And I remember telling people in high school that I wanted to be an actor, and they were like, no way. Everybody's laughing. And they weren't laughing at me, they just thought the whole thing was just absurd, right?
Well, that's interesting because you see, obviously, no internet, this is late 80s, and so it's a...
I graduated in 88 from high school, so that's
I graduated in 88.
No.
Oh, wait. I'm white. He's handsome. He's handsome. Chulo. Guapo. So, like you said, Yellow Pages. And
yeah. Let your fingers do the walking? Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. And so when you're looking through the Yellow Pages, but then how do you even find a job here? Obviously, through the conservatory, if anybody is casting anything locally, they're going to reach out to local schools.
Perfect
How do
question.
you get started?
So here's a perfect question. So I had no answers. I just knew I literally let my entire family and our entire history of Mexicans from the time they were all born up to me. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna be a civil engineer. I'm just gonna, juggle balls and do creative movement, And I remember my dad telling me, do you like girls? Because I was taking creative movement at Katie's studio. He caught me doing one of these in front of the mirror. He goes, Mijo, do you like girls? They're all in my class. No, so when I graduated from KD, and I'm going to get to the answers. When I went to this school, the important thing about this school, the reason I bring it up, and I'm making it sound funny, but it's not, I had no point of reference when I was in that school. The only point of reference was this acting place. But then once I entered those doors, and I talked to real teachers who had real life experiences on the stage, a lot of them are working actors who've been in front of the camera. Now they were saying things I'd never heard of. Now I knew I had a bridge, a real bridge, not some imagined thing that I was hoping to, No, these were real people giving me tangible things to hang on to now. So when I graduated from that high school, that program after high school, the one thing I learned there, aside from the training, and we'll get to that later, you cannot get a job without representation. I had no idea when I saw those 9 photographs that those were headshots. And they were black and white back then. In 1988, you had black and white headshots. Today, they're beautiful color. Now, when you try to get a headshot, they go from really bad to the word cinematic. They're cinematic. Your headshot should look like we just snatched you from a movie. That's also absurd. Some of those headshots can be absurd. You don't have to complicate your life, I promise. And you don't have to spend so much money. This industry is changing so fast. This is how bad it is now. And when I say bad, it works to your advantage, but this is where we are. Anytime I do a movie, and then now with the strike, it's happened to me already with this one. We do these ADR sessions, where you replace dialogue. They want you to record lines on your phone and email it to them. When you have auditions now, they want they want them fast, so they don't care. They'll take your iPhone videos, but it runs the gamut. They place so much on us. There's so many challenges that are placed on us, and some of them are they're unreasonable. But yet, you still have to do them. Because to some degree, you're getting more control now. We didn't have that control. Bob, my good friend Bob who's here, Bob Coonrod, he's a veteran actor. I've looked up to him for many years. He can tell you when, you go to a casting office and you're sitting there and you want to pee because you're nervous, or you're nervous because your car's about to be towed, or you couldn't find, or you got there late, or everybody around you looks just like you, which is the weirdest thing, right? And then you go in, and then you read, and then you're prepared, and you leave, and you don't feel good about it. But now you're stuck in your home doing it. I'd rather be talking to a casting director. I'd rather the casting director going, I know you're a little nervous, you need to just calm down. You know what, go back outside, take a moment, relax, come back. Don't put so much pressure, we love you, come back. But now you gotta light yourself, you gotta look at it you gotta look at your takes a million times over, and then you overthink it, and then you send them the 34th take, and you act like you only did 3 takes. Whatever, liar. Yeah, you did it 34 times and you sent in 2 takes, But you sent the wrong ones. It was probably the second one. The second one was probably brilliant. The first one was probably close, But the problem is everything's moving that fast, But that's school. Going back to your question, you have to have an education of some sort. You have to have a coach, or you have to have peers that you read with, or you go to a formal school, or you go in an an educational institution. And then after that, you work in the theater. But in the end, it's an agent that you need. You need an agent. There's no way around it. Why? I'm going to explain why. They know the casting directors. They They have relationships. They have breakdown services where they get all their auditions, right, sent in. But you could be at a disadvantage too. For us here in Texas, we are at a disadvantage to some degree because not all the breakdowns come to us. And you can have the best agent, and I have, well, whoever you're with is the best agent, right? I have the best agent, but they don't have all the work that's coming through, and that sucks. And this is why you still need the people in LA. Nothing happens, it all happens from there, right? And so, and it happens, it really, that's the hub. It truly is.
And it's interesting because even the business has changed a lot. Like, you don't have to live in LA.
Well,
but the decisions are still made.
Exactly. So, right, exactly. And by the way, this is an experienced producer, filmmaker. Like he's trying to act like he doesn't know anything. He knows probably more than me. But you're right, brother. You are. So that is the hub. That's where everything begins, right? But it's not. We're not just there. We're all over the world. I mean, I'm about to do a horror film, and they already have their casting waiver. They're waiting for their production waiver.
Now, SAG gets mad if you call it a waiver. I call it.
It's an interim agreement.
It's an interim agreement.
It's an interim agreement.
I get chewed out for calling it a
It's
waiver.
a fancy word we're going. Do your film, peasant, as long as it doesn't go to the studios. Even though you'll sell it to the studios. Let's be real, baby. But I need to work. So I'm going to go do this film in Colombia, in Bogota. It takes place in New York. But the incentives there is get 40% of your money back. So yes, they start in LA, whatever, but they end up everywhere. So we're fine. We'll be able to do it. Here's the issue. You can craft a career no matter where you are. I always find, and I push back even on my own agent. And I love her, so I'm not here to disparage her. I've been with her. She's basically my family now. I've been with the Mary Collins Agency since I was 19 years old. I'm 53. I mean, if I can't be frank with her, I'm a liar and I'm a hypocrite and I'm not honest. And we've had some knocked out, arguments on the phone that are respectful and loving, where she forced me to. I learned so much from her, and I had to change a lot, and I grew up a lot with her. But there are times now where I've even pushed her. So it goes. If you don't have that kind of relationship with your agent, where they know you, and they know you as an artist, you're probably with the wrong agent. And I mean that. I really mean that, because we're all trying our best, not only to be in it, but we really want to make a difference. The reason you want to be the kind of actor that you don't just show up and want to please. You're there to do your job, but you're not supposed to be a puppet. You're supposed to show up with ideas. You're living and breathing the script, so when you show up, you have to bring something to the table. You can't just, honestly, man, this is what we live for, right? Anyway, so I pushed back on my agent. And I remember I was trying to get her, and I have recommended actors. When I meet an actor on a set, oh my God. I'm not a good actor, but when I meet an actor that's amazing, I become a fanboy really quick. And I'm like, you have an agent? They're like, I don't know. I'm looking at one right here, Jacob. Jacob is one of those guys I bet who is an incredible actor. Anyway, so I'll go, do you have an agent? They're like, yeah, I'm just, I know, I'll be serious. Yeah, I thought about it, I don't know, this is just fun. But it's fucking fun, man. You know how many shitty actors I meet and make a lot of money doing this? There's a lot of actors who do TV shows, who suck. You're good, And I'm like, look, I don't know if you have an agent or anything, but I'm more than happy to recommend you. Now, I don't do it that often because not everyone I meet is that good. But the few that have, I will recommend. So I got after my agent and I told her, there's a guy named Aaron Martin, and I'll use his name because he's a real dude. He's from Tennessee. Remind me, Bob. Mark Nutter, he's from Tennessee, right? Yeah. Mark Nutter's from Tennessee. Beautiful, beautiful accent. But then I got my boy Aaron Martin, different Tennessean accent. I'm like, damn, you do not sound like Mark Nutter. Are you higher? Are you lower than Mark Nutter in the economic stratosphere in Tennessee? Like, you sound like you make moonshine, man. And I was like, dude, you're amazing. And he's an incredible actor. So I go tell my agent, I said, this guy's amazing. And when I recommend, I leave it to my agent. I said, you read them, talk to them. I just want to introduce, I want to open the door. It's your process. But I'm telling you right now, if you don't truly pay attention, you're going to lose someone who's phenomenal, and they're part of your roster, and they give you an edge as an agency. But I'm out. But you have to talk to them. Well, they did. But she said, if you don't live here, and I'll tell you why, because they've had bad luck with actors who are from somewhere else, and then they have a hard time communicating with them. They're not committed. Yes, I understand you have a job, and you've turned down so many auditions. So that's the trap of the actor who wants to try. You have to make those decisions. Like, there's a lot of sacrifice you have to make to get to where you want to be. But these people who represent you, good or bad, they may suck, but let them suck. Prove them wrong. Don't let them prove you wrong. And so anyway, they decided not to represent him, and Aaron called me and said, hey, man, they want to represent me. And I was like, what? It made no sense. I mean, I have friends in LA who are born in LA. I have a friend named Walter Perez, wonderful actor, was born in Southgate, just south of LA. Angelino, I'm out, he left. He's like, I'm out of here, man, this is getting bad. He left. But he's still working, and his agent's still representing him. So anyway, I told Aaron, I said, hey man, just keep it up. Don't give up. Well, guess what? He moved here, and she signed me immediately. But here's the thing, I think agents are having to learn now, and I don't know what it is about being local, and that's the other thing. I never say I'm local.
Yeah, so your agent is to this area, right?
Yeah, so Mary Collins, and by the way, Mary Collins has been around a while. She is literally the industry standard. She was also part of the negotiations, which I believe she met with you as well, to try to get these incentives and everything. So she is like a leader in our industry, Mary Collins, and I respect all the other agencies, but she's a badass, and this is a smart cookie. She's a businesswoman, and she's not going to sit there and have you in her office and waste her time just chit-chatting. She's working for us, but she's a real professional. But she, I think, is also learning that I'm gonna have to start adapting a little bit more, because the reality is you don't have to live in California either to work. But when I say, and the reason I say I never say I'm a local, here's what would happen. When I'm on a set, and this has probably happened to all of you, it's happened to those who have worked, those who are starting to work, and those who are about to become actors. Just know this is what happens. And it's very disrespectful. You can be on a set, and there'll be 5 chairs, and all of a sudden, you're doing so well in your work, it's a process. And somebody will say, hey man, where in LA do you live? I'm like, no man, I live in Fort Worth. Fort Worth, where's that? Where is that? I don't think it's a county in LA or something. Oh, no man, I live here. You live here? You're from here? You know how much I used to hate hearing that? Because that says, oh, then, wow, how did you get to our level? And that's bullshit. That's bad.
And I think it's changing a little bit.
It's changed completely now because social media has exposed the truths. And those truths are about process, right? But the reason I bring that up is because I still hear actors locally say I'm a local actor. That's why I bring it up. Just say you're an actor. I'm an actor. Oh, okay, go. Because that's what we are.
And it's one of the things that incentives have actually helped with a little bit, because in Texas, the money that a production gets back is based on entirely what they spend in Texas. So you better hire Texas actors, or you're not going to get any money back on those incentives.
But that's it. In other words, being a local actor is to your advantage, but you don't publicize it.
Right.
So let's say you're social media. Do you say you're a Texas actor? Probably shouldn't do that. But it's okay to be Texan. In other words, what I'm getting at is don't be embarrassed by your localness. That's actually what makes you unique and special and beautiful. But but there's a way to craft it in a way where you're just an actor. I don't go around, like if you see my Instagram, I don't say Mexican actor. I'm just an actor. The best advice that I got from Sherry Taylor, who I believe is back at KD Studio, she said to me when I was going through the program, she said, I've been trying to tell actors my whole time here is if you want to have a chance at this career, pick your niche. What's your niche? What's your specialty? What are you good at? Truly dig deep inside. And for me at the time, you know, I was a skinny guy. Not to harp on I'm being Mexican. I'm an actor who happened to be a Mexican kid. And I wanted to be that American actor. I wanted to be Biff in Death of a Salesman. I wanted to be all these classical characters in classical plays, but I didn't look like that, and it bothered me. And at the time, this was the 80s, so that wasn't going to happen. But when she said that to me, my light went up, bulb went up, and I realized I speak fluent Spanish. Oh, wow. So all that means is the closer I come to my existence and my who I am as a person, I become more unique because it's me and there's nobody else like me. So now I'm really not competing with anyone because now I'm competing with my ideas, my upbringing, my challenges, my grief of being discriminated. I'm growing up with the idea that I had people who were Mexican Americans saying I was trying to act white. You know, I had the world tell me I was trying to act white, but I was just trying to survive. But my only language was these words that gave me protection, and it gave me attention, and I was the center of attention, but I also was being heard. And so all of a sudden I realized, wow, she gave me such sage advice. And the minute I discovered that, that's when I realized it's on like Donkey Kong. Because I was like, I'm about to start reading for stuff none of my peers wanted to read for. And we all have that. I have a friend, Luke Temple, who always says, man, God damn it, I'm getting sick and tired of being cast as white trash. I was like, have you thought of voice lessons, man? You think so? You think that's good for me? It's a start, man. I'm just saying. You know? So my point is that your power right now is how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to be perceived? If I grab you and I pull up your Instagram account and I pull it up, is this going to reflect who you want to be perceived as? You don't have to answer that. But when you pull that up, it's you know, you're going to probably have to go back and erase a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to go back and go, oh yeah, sure. Don't muddle how you want to be perceived. Because you're not really fooling anybody. You're not here to deceive anybody. There's a difference. Perception and deception are two different things, right? Perception is, this is how I want to be perceived, but it's also a manifestation. It's an affirmation. I'm going to will that. I'm going to will that. Why? The best advice I also had was from a manager of mine. And we've been together a year. And I think I signed her because she used to be Jennifer Lopez's manager back in the day when she was J-Lo, you know. So anyway, Aida Bernal was Spellbound Entertainment, just saying. She said to me, hey, don't work too hard. The work will find you. When you tell the world how you want to be perceived, it's gonna come for you. So so the problem with headshots, when you take a headshot, and by the way, all your agents are gonna hate me after tonight, because I have seen headshots where I'm like, vanilla, and I'm talking about black actors can look vanilla too, you know, like, it's like, hey, you know, we're gonna sell, we're gonna eat. It's like, no, none of us are vanilla. I don't care if you're white, Mexican, even everybody, we can all be very, hey, I'm just neutral. That's fine. Do yourself up the way you look every day. Make sure the photo looks nice, and leave it at that. But if you want to be, and by the way, I would say do tons of headshots. I have one where I'm a Mexican cowboy. There's one where I'm a lawyer. Because what happens in casting, and it's worse today than ever, they're flipping through those headshots, and they want to find a doctor. Oh, finding a doctor. Don't wear a stethoscope around your neck, by the way, when you take a photo. But if you're being a doctor, give them that neutral headshot, because that's like safe at the hospital, you're safe in the exam room, you're a doctor. But and by the way, we all want those roles where we're selling crack, or we're busting people down, shooting people. Like, those are really the roles we all want. If you show me vanilla, I'm like, yeah, man, you're not a dealer, man. You're not a dealer, sorry. Your arc isn't very far in this movie. You know what I mean? If you're Mexican, don't put a big chavo hat on. I would say don't wear that. But like become that person and be photographed. Because you're giving them, it's just a shortcut. It's a cheat sheet. They're like, oh, there it is. And then they have 5, 10, 15 of these amazing headshots that look like the character. And I don't care what agents say, because I've always ignored a lot of my advice that I've gotten over the years. To me, it's like, just, yourself more than anybody, and if you need to include an extra photo that looks like the character, just do it. Just do it. There were casting directors, it's funny, a lot of casting directors, some of them were not actors through our time. Shirley Evans-Bob, remind me, she a nurse?
Beforehand?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
She was a nurse, right? Rhodey Kent, she was a model. Again, nothing wrong with any of that. But these are the people who are giving us advice in the audition room. You're like going, that doesn't make sense. I'm an actor.
So a question then for you. What about theater? Because obviously, film and television work a lot of times is, there's maybe not a ton happening all at one time in Dallas.
Sure.
It's ups and downs, spurts, you're getting out of town, but theater is a way to be consistently working on your craft.
So I'm going to label theater under training. So here's what I want to say, okay? So all of you, and again, I'm probably being repetitive, so I'm going to lay it down this way. In the end, you need an agent regardless. Second, think outside the box. Think outside the box. So the first question you have to ask yourself, whether you're about to begin, whether you've already started, or you're a vet. And especially the veterans, by the way, don't, and I'm looking at, I can't say it, you actually. and by the way, I pull up the mirror, I'm hard on myself. Are you good? Are you better today than last year? Or than, let's say, 6 months ago? Are you feeling more connected? Do you feel like you can still pick up the scripts and go through the process and just, work through the process? Do you understand tone? Do you understand the difference between, full-hour show, you've got these, these episodics, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I can go on and on. Do you feel like you're still an artist? Do whatever you have to do, whether it's theater, if you're starting out, tons of theater, they need volunteers. You may not be in the play, but go help sell tickets. Go sweep up the back. This is old advice that was given to me, and it still matters today. Now, I'm now about to jump into thinking outside the box. You have something very special that's come into all of our lives, and it's complicated our lives. They made our lives more difficult, and they've enlightened us, and they've also kind of trapped us in our house, and that's social media. But if you're an actor, there's so many resources now in Instagram. There are now acting Instagram accounts that give you wonderful interviews with so many actors, but there are also acting teachers there. There's coaches now you can have access to through Instagram. There are clips of movies you can watch. One of my favorite sites is Studio Binder. This place is an incredible site that not just covers acting, and they barely cover acting, but they cover the process of filmmaking. There's so many of these sites, but here's the problem. Those places are for note-taking, and those places are to not validate you, but to tell you these are things you should work on. But here's where Instagram is amazing. You can actually reach out to a director. You can actually reach out to a cinematographer. You can now reach out to people who don't even live in your same state. And you can create conversations. Okay, so my boy here, Jacob, we work together with Ryan Polly, who's out of Denton, Texas. Ryan Polly is an incredible director, but he's like, what, 30, 31? He's young. He may think he's old. Look up Pizza Time when you leave here. And now, we did a film together called I Bet You're Wondering How I Got Here. Incredible script. A comedic script. I'm a nobody. But I went after him, and I started dialogue with him. And I ended up working out, and then he cast me in his film, and it's an incredible piece of work that we did. Before then, there was a kid out of UT, graduated from UT in Austin, Merced Elizondo. I now call him my grandson. He wrote a show called Manos de Oro, all in black and white. Look up Manos de Oro, Merced Elizondo. And he came to me, and he said, I have a script, I would love for you to participate. And at the time I was doing Narcos Mexico in 2018, I said, just send me the script, man. I mean, I'm open to everybody. But I don't do shorts. It wasn't my thing. And when I read the script, I'll be honest with you, it was okay. I think the words I used was, it sucks. It really sucks. But I can see what you're doing. And I have notes. Do you want to meet up for coffee? He was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, man. Yeah. So he did. He drove, and I live in Fort Worth. So he drove over, we sat at a coffee place. I thought I was going to be there for 15, 20 minutes, and I thought I was just going to scare him and he was going to leave, and I thought, okay, fine, enough time for me to enjoy my coffee. So, no, he sat there, and I hit him with everything that I thought was a trap. This is a trap, this is a trap. You have too many characters, you're focusing on the mother too much. This is really about the father and the son. Focus on these guys, and then so 3 hours later, I go back and do the series. He comes back to me 6 months later, has rewritten the whole thing, and not just took my notes. He developed it. It's his film. And when I read that, I thought, please let me be in this. I love you, man. Please. And I did. But that had nothing to do with getting paid. That had nothing to do with I didn't want the money. It's what I was born to do, because I've spent a lot of my time working on TV shows where, you know how it is, they're traffic cops, stand here, stand there, and there's no, like, we're too busy trying to be the Joker. We all want to be that actor, right, Joaquin Phoenix, which, yeah, good luck with that. It's, only certain people get to have that experience. But you can have that experience because those people live in Instagram, and those people are real artists who need every one of you. But you have to go find them, but you also have to do the work. If you're going to be an actor, do the work,
So talk about that developing your craft and developing your skill. So you've already gone through school, you're done with that. And so for people in the audience that have done that, there are local acting schools where you can continue, once a month you're going to class, or once a week you're taking classes, or you're doing theater, because it's like muscle, it's like working out, right? You have to continue to do
right, but the muscles need to actually you develop the muscles, but then you got to go to the game. Yeah. And then the game, if you look at Dallas, I don't go, I'm going to go play the game. I don't. Because what happens is, if you look at the work, it's a system. And I hate to use the word system because it's kind of our society's dealing with systems, but it's a fact. I don't know what else to call them. But the systems are, you get an audition. I remember getting auditions, and I'm like, but I don't want to read for that. But if I say no, my agent's going to say, oh, then you're just lazy. Or, yeah, well, you turned down 4 auditions, I'm sorry, but it seems like you're not serious. Yeah, but I didn't want to read for the cannibal. You know, I wanted, you know what I'm saying. There's a point where you're not feeling like you're getting the quality work, but the sad truth is they're not getting quality work coming their way either. So you're susceptible to a system that needs the actor to fill these, these roles, and most of the time, and by the way, there was an industry here, I mean, I'm not where I am today. When I started, Bob will remember this, the amount of commercials that we had to turn down commercials. I remember turning down commercials in the same week going, yeah, no, I think I'll just do this Pepsi commercial, which was national.
Because Dallas is a huge commercial market.
It was.
It still is.
It still is, but what it was better than today. It's a fact. I mean, I honestly, what we were going through in the 90s, was in all of the 90s. I just thought that was going to be forever. I thought, yeah, man, we're going to be great. We're going to be an old man still selling Cheetos and Tostitos and, whatever. But it wasn't. And the thing was, we also had industrials. We had corporate videos. We had video game voiceovers. We had, being an actor is not just doing movies. It's all of those things. Print, commercial print. You're also doing corporate videos. You're doing voiceovers. You're doing game voiceovers. Motion capture. I mean, I've even done motion capture. I did Lupin. The first time they put me in a studio and they said, yeah, you're just gonna have to move just follow the screen, just follow the flaps. And I was like, what are flaps? What's the movements and the animated feature? And so I'm like going, I can't do that. These are Japanese. I'm like, yeah, this sucks. I'll never do this fucking shit. This is people are extremely talented, more talented than me. I can't do flaps. But I've done it all. I even did Don Pablo's cooking videos where I was teaching cooks in Don Pablo's how to steam the pre-cooked bags of meat. I mean, I remember, but there was money. I mean, we serve all these niches and purposes, and that's how you made a full living. As these things started to dissipate and go away for certain reasons, and some of them were incentives, but some of them were not. It was just changing times. We had equipment that started getting cheaper, so now corporations started to do in-house videos rather than hiring production companies to shoot their safety videos, right? There were just an industry of filmmakers doing all this cool stuff, and that started to slip away. So the actor finds himself shrinking because there's not enough roles. So now you're trying to read for stuff that's just kind of okay, but you want to feel like an actor. What I'm saying to you today is, don't be trapped by that. Do that to make the money. But get on Instagram, go find, you just get a director and go look at all their work and then go do that. And if not, then you among your peers, a writer here, right? Well, let's just put something together. We'll start with a 4-minute video. Here's the problem. We're thinking of being actors like sitting by the phone. And that's not what's working. That's not working. Because then you have no involvement in your own destiny. You just wait.
Yeah, because I know a lot of actors nowadays, LA, Florida here, other areas, that if they're not getting the role that they want, they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna write this. I want a dramatic role where I can be a mom who has had miscarriage, my child has died, whatever. You write the most dramatic role you can think of, and you make a short film out of that, so you have a chance to show what you can do. And if no one's gonna give you the role, make your own role, basically.
Look, I'm as good as my last job, and I've done a lot. And I have stuff you saw. I got stuff coming. But I'm going to Knoxville, Tennessee, to work on a short from a director out of Knoxville, Tennessee, named Eddie Resendez, working on a short film for a proof of concept about a secret city about the atomic age. And I get to play a Harvard graduate doctor. And by the way, it's a role that nobody would ever give me. It takes place in the 40s. He comes to my house and has dinner. And in the end, he confronts me about this program that's killed a lot of people. And I love it because on one hand, it has nothing to do with me being Mexican. But there were people of color doing a lot of amazing things. And we're not seeing enough, but the focus is not about being the person of color. The focus is on something greater than that, and it's our humanity. So I'm gonna go shoot this with this guy because the cinematographer he's using is incredible. It's incredible what he's doing. And I, somehow with the algorithms, I found his work, and then all I just said was, hey man, beautiful work, you're doing some amazing stuff. And then he looked me up and goes, oh shit, God, man, I've seen all your films from my life, blah, blah, blah. You know, I would love to work with you. I said, dude, I would love to work with you. You know, here we are 3 years later, and he just sent me the script, and I'm not doing it for money. But guess what? I'm gonna grab that clip, which is gonna look like $1 million. It'll look just as good as all this stuff, the Amazon, Netflix stuff. You know, they're just clips on breakdown services. They're not watch all the movies we're doing. They're watching moments. So if you're just waiting around for that moment, it's not gonna show up. So go shoot it with someone. And by the way, you wanna know how you can do it? Go to SMU, go to UNT. They're all doing their film thesis. Go to UT, you go, not just here. Check out Louisiana. Hey, I'm an actor, this is what I do, boom. You know, I'll do it for no money. Why? Because you need those clips.
So can you talk a little bit about how you are, so you're working out of the state a lot, so obviously you're
Out of the country,
out of the country,
yeah.
so, you know, Columbia, and obviously you've built a career, so you've become a known quantity because you've worked with a lot of,
Because of my niche.
right.
Because I wanted to be perceived as the actor who would, okay, this is gonna sound so cheesy, man. Who saw All the Pretty Horses? Nobody. Billy Bob Thornton directed that, right? Matt Damon, Penelope Cruz, beautiful movie. Cormac McCarthy book. There's a Cormac McCarthy book. And I was auditioning for this stuff of, you know, I'm the campesino, the farmer, but it's a scene in Spanish, but they didn't write the Spanish. They just figured some Joe Blow would come in and talk in Mexican and just say it. And when I showed up, I wanted them to know, like, no, I'm from Mexico. And not only can I speak Spanish, but I am a trained actor. And I speak Spanish. So I wanted to be known as that guy. That guy, I mean, I'm in Bottle Rocket. Anybody know Bottle Rocket?
Yeah.
My scene is not Oscar-winning stuff. I'm a mechanic coming out of a bar going, hola, Inés. Hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, no sé lo que me acaba de pasar. Vino un tipo que vino aquí que se le cayeron los dedos en el tanque de gas. Imagínate. Okay, bye. That was it, man. And I remember Wes Anderson going, so I'm thinking, you know, you just come in, and you guys just, you know, you just talk, come up with something, and then, you know, we're trying to make sure Luke's character is a little bit distracted. He's, you know, feeling a little insecure, and, you know, you guys work on that for a little bit, and then we'll shoot that. And I'm like going, this is the genius we have today? But I didn't know who this dude was back in Dallas here. We were shooting here in Dallas. We didn't know who this guy was. And I was thinking, this guy sucks, man. He's never gonna make it. Please, I'm asking you again, please. But my point is, I wanted this industry to know, and no offense to, remember, I'm working on my niche. So whatever my niche is, it's my world. It's not, whatever your world is, that's your world. Focus on that. I don't know what your world is, that's your world. I don't know what your world is, but that's your world and it's special. I just know that I can actually speak real Spanish. Because a lot of the actors that were being cast, I would watch a movie, and you don't have to just speak Spanish, it's whatever your existence is and someone's trying to play from your neighborhood, your experience, and you realize, they missed the mark, man. This is so cheesy, or it's called in, or it's lazy. And for me, it was speaking Spanish, because that would throw me. I would like all those big, great Latin films, like American, we talked about it earlier, Blood In and Blood Out, and American Me, and Mi Familia. And I'm like, well, that's a Puerto Rican dad acting Mexican. And then, you know, the Cuban mom is trying to act Salvadorian. And I was like, I'm out, man. These movies suck. You know, they suck. Now, if you can pull off the role example. Who saw Training Day? Okay, isn't that a badass movie? Okay, so if you want, it's just an amazing film because this kind of movies I like. But there's a scene where this cholo has got Ethan Hawke in the tub and he's about to blow his brains out. And he has to call the girl to get, right? To call on and say, yeah, hey, you know this guy? Oh, yeah, I know him, yeah. This guy was from New Zealand. This Vato Loco was from New Zealand. He was not Mexican, American. And I was watching and going, all right, who's this guy? I didn't find out who this guy was. He wasn't even Latino. He was like from New Zealand. And that's my point. You don't have to be, and here's the other thing about being an actor. You don't have to be a paraplegic to play a paraplegic. In my heart, you don't have to be gay to play gay. Now, have people been shut out? Yes, give them the opportunity. But in the end, this is the world of acting. This is the world of acting. Now, we don't want to go so extreme where someone's going to play black and they're not black. That's insane, right? That's just stupid. We should just shift these people to another planet. But when it comes to certain things where there are challenges, why are the Brits all playing the best Americans? Or all the Aussies are like, we're the American actors, man. We suck. These people are amazing. I'm going to start going to British, voice lessons. Hello, I'm on stage. How do you feel about the tacos?
I've had some conversations with some directors and actors in England and stuff. I go to London once a year, and a lot of it is they're trained. They're like theater trained, and they work hard at it.
They are what I would call technicians. But they're not all technicians. They're trained like technicians, but we still have the Robert De Niro's of that world that include men and women. So not only are they technicians, meaning they're meticulous, but they're also impulsive, right? They surprise you. They're ready to strip away, but they're still consistent, right? They're still consistent. So, and this is why training is important. Now, I have been on sets where there are actors who say they've never had classes, and I'm thinking, well, you should have. You should have had classes. But in the end, there's something innate about all of you that's there that's special. So when you take classes, it's not to erase that. Don't let them erase that. You're not there to become neutral. It's like that headshot. You're there to understand how to break apart a script into beats, you score your script, you understand where you're coming from and where you're going, and then you're there to learn all of it inside and out and make choices, strong choices, or just choices. We don't know what that means, strong, but you'll know when you see them. And then be very clean. Don't be muddy. Don't be sloppy. And this is why the Brits are so good. But the American actors are exceptional actors. But there's something special about British and Aussie actors. You know what I mean? But there are people who are innate, and they've been touched by the hand of God, and they're incredible actors.
Let's get some questions from the audience.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody's got questions. Let me see this light here. But anyway, that.
Hi. So from the point of view of a director to an actor, what is the differences that you see from genre to genre? What does an actor really want from a director that all the great directors you work with all provide with compared to a bad director?
Trust. And so remember, every director's different. Every script is different. There's no one right way. There is no one right way. The way we're trained when we're in school and we're learning, or we're just trying to get through the program, whether it's with a coach or through a program. These are exercises, and you're trying to work through the material, and you're trying to find your instrument and find you. Because really what we want to be able to achieve is do the private things in public. That's what unleashes you as an actor, right? In other words, you have to be open, so open to get to that dark shadow, right? Because we live in shadows. There's a side of us that no one will ever see. And there are things we're thinking that we could never express. Well, now after country, seems like people forgot that. But anyway, but from a director, you know, and some of them are different. Some of them can be introverted, as bizarre as that sounds. Some of them you can't even put a sentence together. They just tell you how it's going to look. And so you have to be savvy enough to size that up right away. But you also have to know how to ask the questions for yourself, depending on what it is you're about to do, right? And so if you get an opportunity to direct actors, and that's what you want to be able to do, is to convey to actors, listen, this is the story, this is what it's going to look like, and this is how we're going to shoot it. And this is how I think this is what I think of the character. But tell me, what do you want to see in that character? What do you want to reveal? And you don't have to tell me all of it, but I need to understand that we're on the same movie, we're on the same project. Because in the end, it is the director's vision, but the director also has to serve the actor. Alfred Hitchcock, and I think I saw it on Studio Binder, not to quote off that, but I thought it was brilliant. Was it him? No, I don't want to misquote.
Some directors said.
Some directors said, we're here to be an assistant to the actor.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles, good job. It was Orson Welles. That's exactly who it was. It was Orson Welles. Now, it was Orson Welles. So I just saw that. Anyway, but my point is, you know, but then Stanley Kubrick does a million takes, and it's because he thinks actors are lazy. He said that too. I mean, that's the sad part about all these directors. They've said too much crap that's now on the internet, you know. But my point is, for me as an actor that have been working a long time, my process was when I got out of school, I was so happy to get a job. When I got cast, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Man, I love the part. Okay, this is badass. Okay, you walk in there. Okay, that's the mark. Okay, all right, and then there's okay. This is great. And then you try to get to the mark and say your line, and everyone says, okay, good job. And you're thinking, all right, this bad. And all I did was just say the damn lines and step on a mark. But I forgot that, hey man, I can look over here and then walk to my mark. You know, I can go over there, or I can put all a piece of, you know, whatever. You know, my point is like, bring something. I acting coach right in front of me here. So, but my point is, my concept of getting a job and working in the beginning was, don't bump into the furniture and just get in and get out and thank you for hiring me. They're not gonna hire me again because they're gonna hire a monkey to do the same thing, is my point. But once I started to understand that I had a brain and I can ask questions, but why would I come in here if it makes more sense if I come here? Or can I get rid of this line that slows down the rhythm of the scene, or that line doesn't work, when we put it on the back end, it seems like it buttons it up better. Like, that was the sort of stuff that started to come alive in my brain. But that was because I did care when I first started getting cast. I just didn't want to seem like the guy that was throwing a wrench in the fan constantly. And what I started to find out was the more engaged I was with serving the story and not being a smart actor or trying to get in the way of it's about me, because it wasn't. They realized, oh, this guy, we like the way this guy thinks. Yeah, okay, that sounds cool. He takes some of my suggestions, not all of them, and then the lead actors who were names would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds good. Or they would nod or wink at me like, yeah, good job. And they want you to be better than them because it forces them to be even better. Once I started to pick up on all that, that's when all the lights came on. And that's when I realized they don't want me to be some generic-y actor. They want me to show up to be me, closer to me, or a version of me, and just, lightning in a bottle kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so that's sort of how it begins. But in the end, your process has to be the opposite. Don't walk in being everybody else. Be very specific to you and you. And bringing that up, make that come alive. And we don't know what it is. I mean, Jacob and I worked on this. I know it's a short, but I love this short. I bet you wonder how we got here. And through the process, I show up. There's all these actors who I don't know, and I never want to be the guy guy that knows more because I don't. I just have experience, but that doesn't mean I know more. I've just done a lot of crap, but I'm also older than everybody. And when I walked in, Eden, I remember watching Eden Lee, incredible actress. I walk in, and all of a sudden, she seems like she's in charge, which kind of threw me off. She's kind of telling people where to be, what to do, whatever. And I was like, who's this person? Is she the director? And at first I thought, oh man, this is gonna be bad. And by the way, I showed up an hour late, not on purpose. They gave me the wrong time. Truly, they gave me the wrong time. I never show up late to anything. So I showed up when they had been rehearsing. So here's idiot me showing up an hour late, and I'm embarrassed. But when I show up, as embarrassed as I was, I thought, oh, this sucks. And I was about to start apologizing. And then I see her telling them here and there, and she's just on top of everything. And I was like, oh no. And then Jacob, I met Jacob Gunner's there. Andre from Louisiana. All fine, but it just, I was like, I don't know, did I make the right choice, you know? But then I started to see what we were doing, but it wasn't until we got on set that it all came to life, and all these actors were no different than me. In fact, complete opposite, they were incredible. And for me, Eden was the one that I thought, she's gonna be like, in trouble. It was the complete opposite. This is a person who works, she's an emergency nurse. And her personality is a go-getter, a doer. She doesn't sit by idly, she takes charge. That's just her personality. The most caring person. But this is all, but see, here's an interesting thing. Even though she's a nurse and she has that high intensity job, that's what allowed her to make strong choices as an actor. Her strong choices came from her real life experience of taking charge in the emergency room. You don't sit by and just be glad you're being a nurse. You're there, you're like, you have to save people. Well, she's in a scene saving scenes, so I'm like blown away. I'm blown away by her. And then I'm watching Gunner, who's just incredible comic timing. Jacob was handling text that I thought was absurd. I could not do his role because I just thought, who talks like that? I would never be cast, but it makes sense because it's not my wheelhouse. I know me, and that's not me, and I'm not going to look for work like that. What resonated to me was the guy I was playing, the Robert De Niro wannabe dumbass. And then Andre was just Mr. Cool, but that's just really Andre. Andre could order something from, order a drink, and I'm like, I gotta have what he's having, That's just Andre. So this is what I mean about play to your strengths, play to you. Don't let anybody erase that, but make strong choices, Now, I want to answer questions, because I'm talking too damn much. And by the way, I want to answer serious, hardcore questions that will shine light for you, and I don't care how personal you may think it is.
Here in the Dallas market, there's as many.
I'm not in the Dallas market. I'm in the international market. I'm in the worldwide market.
We are in the Dallas market.
No, you're not. You're in the same market as I am.
For opportunities here in films, all of them, or most of them, don't pay the actors, and so I wonder, what do you look at to make it worth your while? What makes it worth it to you to do a film that's not going to pay?
Okay, I say more. Look, so this is new for me, short films, and this is not me being arrogant. It's just not. Again, I'm 53, and I'm not going to harp on that. I feel extremely young, and I feel young, and I look fabulous. But the thing is that it's all about quality. It's all. Look, it's in front of our faces. I want to work with you. But let me see what you're doing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be correct. In other words, the people around us are trying to do the same thing you're doing. Here's the problem. Here's the thing, make them, if you're thinking like you're a local actor and you're just doing local jobs, I get it, because this is what's coming through your agent's office. What I'm getting at is, work with your agency, audition the crap out of everything they send you, and just keep doing that. That's called a system. The way you subvert the system is you start creating relationships with people who are creators, who are filmmakers, who have nothing to do with that system. They're stuck in the system too. This thing I'm about to do in Tennessee, in Knoxville, it's a short called Secret City. incredible commercial director. And he works with incredible cinematographers. And I'm seeing what he's doing, and he's getting into the narrative work. So I say, hey man, if there's something we can do together, let's talk about it. Doesn't mean we will find it, but we'll get to it eventually. Just look at the work. The quality of camera moves, the story, a little bit of the writing. And by the way, a lot of these people are not going to present to you something perfect. I called them up and I said, hey man, I love your short. It's strong, but the end needs a Jack Nicholson moment, man. You can't let this kid insult this man in the 40s in his own house, and he's a doctor out of Harvard, and he's bitching about the atomic project. Let this guy know that without this program, he will not exist eventually. And then also remember that you're going to blame it on his wife, that you want to apologize for his behavior because he's embarrassed the both of you. That was in the 40s. People were oppressed, but then people were also manipulative. Men in particular were very manipulative. So I gave him notes. And that told him, oh my God, this guy, he's invested. And I offered it to him, but oh my God, and I haven't even said I'll do it yet. So what you need to do is just scour, go. This is what I mean. Don't sit by, go to SMU, go to UNT, go to UTA. There are film schools in Louisiana, whatever. Go find these people. They have projects. And say, I'm willing to work with you. This is what, and don't, it's not about begging, and it's not, I'm a trained actor, or this is my reel. I would love to work with you. If there's anything I can do to elevate your work, please let me know. And leave it at that. And everybody looks, now here's the thing, it's an investment in you. Now I'm not saying go do free work all the time, but in the end, here's what's happening with our system. Eventually AI is gonna cast people. If you don't have good work up in the ether, what are you gonna do? Wait for somebody to give you a chance? No. Let McDonald's pay your bills. Let some plumbing company, some local company pay your bills. Get paid like a real actor. But go make the magic down here and then say, this is who I am.
Well, and working on those, projects for free, shorts and no budget features and stuff like that, eventually hopefully those directors grow in their careers, and if they like working with you, and
Well, I don't hang my head on that. Yeah. Because if I hang my head on the fact that I'm hoping they will be somebody to give me a leg up, then that's not going to work. What's going to work is now. So whatever you're doing now, I'm going to be in it 150%. Because now I'm thinking, did you think of this? Did you think of this? Did you think of this? You may like some of the ideas, maybe you won't. But you know I'm a committed actor. And did you give me for free? Yeah. But there's an exchange. So that clip that you're about to cut together, it will be amazing because we're all at the table creating something powerful. I don't treat, when I was on Ryan's short, and I'm bringing up these shorts because these are local people that I work with. I won't bring up all the big monster stuff. And by the way, all the Narcos Mexico stuff, just so you know, when I got cast, I didn't know I was going to be cast as that guy. They just cast me. I didn't even audition. The first time I showed up, that guy that I beat up, that was my first scene. Okay? And not only that, I'm working with Michael Pena. It's my second time working with him. I had no meeting with the director, no conversation with the writer. I'm scared as hell because now we're in a real strip bar, and I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. No one's talked to me. Now I'm worried about how I'm gonna beat up this, slam his head on the table. And after the second take, I kept telling the guy, hey man, stop hitting your head on the table. The guy started laughing. He's like, it's a rubber table, man. I'm like, are you serious? No one even told me that, man. I would have been grabbing your head, So my point is that it's not, here's the thing. This is what social media is doing to you. It's short-circuiting you. Because you look at everything, because this is what's happening to our world now. I meant to bring these books, but they're in my car, and I can drag those books over here. But I read a ton of books, and I have books from when I started as an actor. Read. Look at all the videos, but in the end, apply yourself. But here's the thing. We're too busy looking at daydreaming about who we can eventually be, and we waste more time doing that than actually reaching out to people. Yeah. And then the other thing, right? We're just monkeys looking at videos. work. Do the work. And this is why I say volunteer for theater, because it's not just you being, they're not going to cast you all the time, but sit there and watch all the other actors. Befriend actors. They know people who know people. You're going to learn so much. And so what's happening is you're comparing yourself to finished work. This is not fair for me to show you that reel because there are editors and right, and there's sound designers and there's a lot of people behind the work that I'm presenting to you, right? But it's the real work. I can reveal so many things about the scenes that I've done that I can tell you most of them were accidents. Some of them was just doing the work and getting in and getting out. There's some movies that destroyed me, that hurt me. There's a movie that's going to be at the Venice International Film Festival called A Cielo Abierto. It's called A Palm Open Sky. The writer who wrote Amores Perros, 21 Grams, Babel, The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada, Babel. He wrote the script before he wrote Amores Perros. And I remember back in the day, in 2000, here locally, there wasn't a lot of work going on, but they were hiring actors to be product specialists for Pontiac. So they hired, I was a friend who was an actor, he says, dude, you're gonna make a lot of money, but you're gonna be traveling all over the country. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter, town's dead right now. So I went through a training program for a week, and then you learn everything about these shitty cars. That's right, Pontiac is not around. There was an Aztec. I don't even know the Pontiac Aztec. The Pontiac Aztec. I remember being at car shows, and by the way, being actors, because we're very extroverted, we can talk to people, and I was bilingual. So I remember a dad came up to me, he was like, yeah, man, I'm looking to buy it. My daughter says she loves this Aztec, and I just want to look at it. I was like, all right, man, come here, let me show you something. All right, so the center console, you can put a 6-pack in there. I'm not sure you want that for your daughter. If you come to the back, all the stereo controls are here. Okay, so and there's you can put an inflatable mattress back here, not for your daughter. and you can't turn those corners really fast because the damn thing will flip. The shittiest car. But I'm making a lot of money. The reason I bring this up is because as an actor, there was no internet. There was no more auditions. It was drying up fast, and I was worried. I have a family. My wife does work, thank God. But I can't be the guy staying at home, so I took this job. And I was in New York City at the Javits Center, and there was a Japanese teacher who spoke Brazilian, English, and Japanese, and he said, hey, let's come to this film. He loved Mexican cinema. I said, yeah, let's go see it. Amores Perros. Amores Perros in 2000. I can't remember, it was near the Javits Center, but I couldn't remember the theater. And I sat there and I watched that movie, and if you haven't seen Amores Perros, it may seem dated to you, but at the time in 2000, this writer changed Mexican cinema forever. It was visceral, it was intense. They displayed their emotions in ways that I never had seen quite that way, and they were speaking in my native tongue, Spanish. And that's when I knew I needed to get the hell out of New York and stop showing shitty cars. And I went home, and that was in 2000. Fast forward to 2004, and I get a call from Jordan Boland, the casting director, and saying that Tommy Lee Jones wanted to see me for a movie called The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada. Yeah, and so I was like, what? I said, yeah. So I read the script, and it was a role in my heart that I felt, yes, this was written for me. There's so many references to my family, Okinawa, Chihuahua. I know a lot of the areas they talked about. I know West Texas, Odessa, Midland. And I have family friends who worked in those ranches. And so I go to the audition. I'm sitting there, and I think it's in San Antonio. I can't remember. I'm just trying to remember. Anyway, but the reason why is I can remember the room. So when I walk in there, and I'm nervous as hell, and I can hear Tommy Lee Jones in the room with Joy DeBola. They're reading another actor in there. And I can hear, he's not scolding anybody, but it sounds like he's scolding somebody because he's questioning them. And all of a sudden, my fear went away because I did several things. One, I know the script is about people. That's what I go about. Know your community. Know who you are. I know these people. I don't have to act. I know this place. I have family there. I looked at this character. I am this person. In fact, I walked in full on vaquero, and I had the day before. There was a guy at the Home Depot who had this beautifully embroidered Mexican belt. He was standing there looking at all the tile, right? And I walked in because I needed to go to some route, and I'm looking at him, and my eyeballs go to the belt. And I thought, oh my God, that's the belt I need for my audition. So I'm looking at him, because I can't go buy it. I mean, my cowboy belts were not those belts. And this is a Mexican belt. I just have a regular belt, cowboy belt. And I went up to him and I said, hey. Where'd you get that belt, man? He's like, I'm sorry. No, okay, no hablas inglés, no. Oh, qué bonito tu cinturón. It was beautiful, your belt. Gracias. And I'm like, how much do you want? I said in Spanish, oye, ¿me puedes vender tu cinturón? He's like, chingado. Like, oh. It's like, oh, fuck, really? I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, no, it's not for sale. Right? And I'm like, $50. And he goes, serio? Like, really? And I'm like, He's like, nah. 75, güey, nada más. He's like, órale. So he gave it to me, and that's the belt.
Did you give him your belt?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, can't fall off. Yeah. I gave him my belt, but a shitty belt too. But his was tattered. It had stains on it, but it was embroidered. You can get them now at like an Plaza and Fort Worth, But at the time, though you couldn't see those belts, you'd have to go to Mexico or San Antonio to find them. So that's what I was wearing. I had some Western jeans, some vaquero jeans, and I had my boots, and just a really, just really humble shirt. And in that moment, what came over me in that audition was like, I know Spanish. That's my first language. I know my culture. I know this vaquero culture. So I just have to don't be an actor. Just speak truth. And it was the Spanish that was comforting me, because it doesn't matter how amazing Tommy Lee Jones would have been or that opportunity. No one can take away my culture. No one can take away my existence within my culture, what I have lived. So it's my truths that I was going to play. And so I went in, and when I read the first two scenes, he kept wanting to read. We read all the scenes from the movie that we were in, and he looked at me and he said, I haven't read an actor all the way through, so this is good. And I said, okay, muchas gracias, señor Jones. Okay. I left, and as I was walking out, he came out and he said, hey, you ride horses? And I said, see? And I didn't. He goes, can you ride good? And I was like, no. I wasn't gonna lie. I can lie a little bit, but I don't want to lie. He's like, okay, all right, well, I'll get somebody to call you. We'll figure this out. That's all I said. So I went home, and literally, I thought, oh man, I won the lottery. Tommy Lee Jones thinks I'm kind of good. But probably not going to get cast. It's a big movie. It's with Europa Corps, which is a Luc Besson's film company out of France. And you've got Chris Mingus, who's an incredible DP who shot The Mission and The Killing Fields. You've got Melissa Leo. You've got Barry Pepper, who I had seen him Saving Private Ryan at the time. January Jones was cast, but she was, this is pre-Mad Men. And so I just thought, yes, this is going to happen. And there's so many great Latin actors from Latin America. And literally, I went home just tired, just from the drive, and just tired. And then that evening, my wife woke me up because I was asleep. And she said, hey, Joe Edna wants to talk to you. So I'm like, what? She probably told me I did fine, but whatever. I said, okay. And so I picked up the phone, and she said, yeah, they want to work with you. I'm like, who wants to work with me? parts, one of the smaller parts? No, you're Melquiades. I'm like, what? Yeah, but here's the thing. Remember, I saw Moros Perros. That writer is Guillermo Arriaga, who wrote Moros Perros. Now, here I am, about to be in one of his movies that he wrote, The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada, Los Tres Entierros of Melquiades Estrada. And I'm sitting here going, 4 years ago, I was showing off shitty cars and hoping to change my life forever, and here I am in one of his films. And I remember being at the truck stop, calling him, going, Memo, un placer de conocerte, mira, muchas gracias, and I was telling how thankful, and just, I was crying on the phone. I mean, I was there just telling him, like, this is incredible, thank you. And so he said, hey man, I want to be on set with you. He says, but I'm on vacation with my family. My kids are with me, and man, I want to be there, but I can't. This has been a trip. And I said, no, don't worry. Just, I hope to see you at some point. And actually he did. He wrote himself a small part in the film, and I just saw him for 2 days. And I met his kids at the AFI, or one of the festivals we were at, and I saw his kids, who now are grown adults who just cast me in this film, Upon Open Sky, that is now at the Venice International Film Festival in Toronto. You know, so the reason I bring this story up, and mind you, I don't want you to walk away feeling like you have your journey. But listen to yourself, listen to the training, don't fool yourself. Don't be working harder than you need to. Make it more practical, more visceral. Talk to the people who are doing things. But in the end, I'm going to be flat out fucking honest. Excuse my language, but honest. It's about relationships. It is about relationships. And when we say local, okay, fine. I'm fine with that. I love that. Local to me sounds handmade, right? You say handmade. It's special. We don't see anything handmade anymore. Nothing lasts more than 7 years, right? So what it is, it's an investment in you going, okay, let me pay attention. Here's the theaters, yes. These are the acting schools, yes. Okay, fine. I can do the normal thing. But who are the production companies? Let me find their Instagram accounts. Let me see who's directing, okay. Let me see what they're saying on their accounts. Are they frustrated? Are they, because people who say stuff on Instagram that they're hinting at what they want to do. And then key in on that within your community, within your city, within your county, within the next city over, the next state over. I'm being serious. Map this stuff out. And then on your Instagram accounts, I'm being serious. Separate your personal from who you are as the artist. Don't muddle those things. It's better to have less than just stuff. Because when you reach out to these people, they're going to look you up too. They're going to look you up. They want to know what your sensibilities are. And by the way, I don't want to talk to people who aren't serious. I don't want to be with a bunch of wannabes. And by the way, I love people, but I spent most of my beginning of my career being with a bunch of wannabes. And I'm not being disrespectful. I loved a lot of them. A lot of them were my friends. When I went to KD, and this is a fact, 60 of us started at school, 15 of us graduated. I'm the only one working. That doesn't mean I'm a genius and I'm good. Perseverance, have a plan, think outside the box, create a community, go work with people who are doing the work. They don't have to be great, but they're doing the work, but you do the work too. And the reason I still think of these stories was because I was born to do this. It was not a question, it's not an idea, it's not a hobby, it's not an afterthought. This is a part of my being, but I got married, had 3 kids. My son's going to be 25, my daughter's 21, she just turned 21, and my wife and I have an 8-year-old. And my wife is also a bigger part of my, my evolution. She works too. She's been there when things were low, and I've been high and then low. So, but here's the other thing. I don't believe in the starving artist mentality. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. You don't need to be flat broke to be an artist. That's silly. You have every right to have a family if you want. It's harder. You have every right to have a home. It's harder. But through that, find your way. And I know I'm bringing up Instagram. That's probably not the thing you wanted to hear. But that's where it starts. But here's the thing. The reason you need to do that is because you need to create the work. You need to create the work. So then you have something tangible that you can now present, and it builds on itself, and it builds on itself. And before you know it, you're going to get auditions. They're going to come your way because you have stuff that's incredible. Yes, you can get paid for it, but guess what? It's badass, and now you're about to get paid. It's pay time, baby. It's pay time, okay? And that's where you need to be. And then, again, not to harp on where we live, this is a wonderful place because everyone's hungry and ready to create. And that's what Dallas is. That's what Fort Worth is. We're all connected to all of this. And this is where, the Film Commission is a wonderful place that provides information. You know stuff that's going on. But you're also doing your own research. And by the way, we're like little foot soldiers, and we can also, work with the Film Commission and say, did you hear about this? And they're like, well, I don't know, let me look into it. It's all symbiotic. It all feeds into itself, and we become more resourceful. We're not waiting for somebody to call us and they think, no, we're being resourceful. And if we work together as a community, we're much stronger. By the way, I've been an actor here for so long, people thought I moved away. I don't know anybody because I've been tucked away in Fort Worth. But I'm here. I haven't left. I have not left. But I have created those relationships. And because of that, I created a perception that became real, and I built on it, and I built on it, and I took auditions that people didn't want, that thought that was just beneath you. I'm like, what are you talking about? By the way, anybody who says to you, why are you doing that? Like I said, my friend Little Temple says, I don't buy white trash. It's, turn those stereotypes into archetypes. Let me tell you, those stereotypes exist for a reason, but you humanize them. That's the difference. So when I hear an actor say, yeah, man, that's so stereotypical, then I'm saying, yes, but you're not seeing what's there. Don't be lazy. Humanize it. Yes, it's obvious. Look, I did Walker, Texas Ranger back in the day, and I remember telling the director, I have to play this reformed gang member that gets shot in front of my brother. We're delivering a Christmas tree, and then it's Chuck Norris there to take on a whole gang, and then whatever. And then the thing was, I remember telling the director, no. I had great advice from a friend and actor, Julio Vasquez, wonderful actor, said to me, he says, if you ever get bad advice from a director, ignore them. He said this, and by the way, it happened on Narcos. He said, you have to say performance. Because you know the character better. And when you get bad advice, you know it when you hear it. But don't argue, just say yes, gotcha, okay. And you go do the take, do it your way again. And maybe change it up again for yourself. But you know when it's bad, it's bad. I should have learned that, but I was so happy to be in the business and so happy to be cast. But then you realize, no, you're not serving a purpose. This is, I've worked with a lot of actors, and, I did a movie with Eva Longoria. She was supposed to play she played a girl from Mexico in a small town off the border. And I'm like, Eva Longoria? By the way, I love Eva Longoria. But I'm going to be honest, brutally honest, she was miscast. I think she was, should I say it? Who cares? I think she was horrible. I thought she was horrible because she was playing to the idea. There was nothing that she was bringing that I thought was amazing. And there was a moment where I have to rape her in this film, and she was laughing and getting up. That's fine. All that is fine. That's her process. But I thought that was a missed opportunity for her to truly, truly engage in this character and be seriously tormented and outraged by what was happening to her, about to happen to her. And then later, the next scene we do, where I have to call her parents after I kidnapped her, then I saw her truly getting into it. But that's because she was moved by the fact that in the scene I had to tell her to take off the clothes, and she's in her bra and panties and with all these other men who I made them strip down, and I'm calling ransom. And by the way, I think she was moved by that. But that's action provoking real emotion. But prior to that, we have a scene together, and I was kind of let down. I'm going to be honest with you. And they had to put little drops in her face to make her look like she was crying. And I was so blown away by that. And that's when I thought, well, it doesn't matter, because when I watched the movie, it works. It doesn't work to my level, doesn't work to my taste if I were directing. But it is what it is. We're making sausage, and it's ugly, and it Hopefully it tastes good. What matters in the end is that. That's it. Yeah, by the way, I'm talking so damn much. Please tell me if you have questions.
We'll get a couple of questions here. We've been here 2 hours about, so.
I'm so sorry.
A quick question here. So I'm new acting student at ADP.
Yeah.
But to that point of when you're acting even more lawyer, just make this general. You're not getting that push or pull from your colleague. What do you do? Do you have a conversation with them on set, or is what does that interaction look like so that once the camera is rolling,
Sure.
you get that real energy that you feel like you should be getting?
Did everybody hear the question? He's asking if you're not getting that push-pull from your acting partner, like how do you respond?
How do you make that work for both of us?
Since you're a very open person to talk to.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Look, when you walk onto a set, there's a hierarchy already set up. I mean, that's also the weird thing about being in the set, because you have the number one on the sheet, call sheet, is usually the lead. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes down the row. I think I was number 15 or 12. I don't remember. And of course, Michael Pena, Ed Harris was in it. Ed Harris, his wife, and then I think Michael Pena was like number 2 or number 2. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there's a hierarchy, and so for me, then when I got cast, I was like, what? And that was the other thing. I got cast because I know somebody. And this goes back to knowing people. So Eric Williams was one of the executive producers. Well, he was the line producer on the Three Burials. So he's calling me out of the blue and he says, hey man, you want to do a movie with Ed Harris? And he's going, great. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, dude. I'm like, yeah. He goes, cool. We'll send you the script. And we'd love for you to come out. I was like, oh my God, okay. So when I was reading through it, and again, my initial reaction is, oh man, I'm gonna be a coyote, smuggling people, and so at face value, that's always my gut instinct. Is like, oh, I'm that actor that bitches about how is this all we are, But once I read it, I thought, no, there's stuff there for me to work with. I can make this guy menacing and real, and he's a businessman as far as I see it. That's a good thing. I'm always trying to find the good in everything. Because that gives me a driving force. And to answer your question, I go on set, there is a hierarchy, and so I'm already nervous. Like the first thing when you walk on a set, be honest with yourself. I say it out loud, I'm fucking nervous. This happened to me in Sicario. I was nervous. So when I walk in, I'm like, I'm nervous, but I don't want to just jump the gun immediately and say, can I talk about this rape scene? I don't want to do it. I don't want to be that guy. What I've learned when you walk on set, just be an observer. They are already thinking before you. They are probably have answers before you even ask them. So my experience has taught me, dude, lay low. We're gonna walk on set and we're gonna talk about the scene. As nervous as I am, and as much as I want the scene to be badass and real, it's still fake, and nobody should get hurt. I shouldn't be doing anything crazy. This has to be choreographed. But we will commit to the emotion once it's choreographed, because you're scoring a dance number, basically. And we're about to do the scene, and then the director goes, yeah, okay, you just paid the board patrolman, he asked you for more money, you're kind of upset about it. Go grab her, take her around to the van, and then just throw her face down in the van. She's trying to get away, just grab her from her pants and just pull her down, flip her over, and then we'll cut there, but you gotta be on top of her. And I was like, huh? It's like, yeah, and I was like, okay, well, you've heard that. No big deal. So I'm fully on that. I mean, and I love it because now I'm more, as an actor, my experience has taught me I'm not just saying lines. I'm inhabiting the role. But when we get to the part where I have to throw her in the van, face down, I remember she was trying to get away from me, and I grabbed her from her pants, and I thought, oh no, I'm about to pull her pants down. So I was being very ginger with her. But remember, we never talked about this. He just said do X, Y, and Z. So now I'm being gingerly, Mr. Badass, smuggler about to rape this girl, and I'm going, I don't know if this makes sense. And then they yell cut, and then the director comes in and is like, yeah, you need to be a little bit forceful. And then Eva, and by the way, not disparaging her, to her credit, she was constantly hitting me, saying stop being a teddy bear, just do it. And I was like, you're right, I'm about to put your pants down. So what happened is that she comes back around, and by the way, and I'm answering your question because we never talked about this. So, and also, I kind of know that she's a little miscast at this point because I'm not feeling her vibe about being scared, but it's also a visual. It's also a visual, remember, it's not all about feeling. The feelings come from the action. So when she drops down and I pull back her pants, I notice a tattoo in the back of her behind. And I'm thinking, yeah, small town girl from Mexico doesn't have this, you know? And I got so nervous after I did that. And then they're like, okay, we're good, let's move on. And I was thinking, oh no. But then we go in the van, and then once the camera's on me, here's to answer your question. I couldn't have conversation with her. We were running and gunning. There's no time for conversation. So all I thought to myself was, it doesn't matter what Eva does. Eva's gonna be fine. They're gonna protect her. They're gonna cut it in a way that it looks real. But when it's on me, I don't want the audience to mistake that I can fucking kill you, and I will rape you. And what's happening now has nothing to do with anything other than this is how I survive. This is just the impulsive nature of the moment, because not only was it written that way, but I'm going to commit to it. And when I saw it, it worked. But what I didn't like was, how some of the cheating with the fake teardrops and the kidding around. So I'm the kind of actor that doesn't like being distracted in the process of working when people are telling jokes when we're doing something very serious. And so, because of the hierarchy, I'm not there to call her out. And I was bothered by it, but I walked away. And that was a perfect way to respect her and to respect myself. But I didn't like it. I thought it was shitty. I thought, we're doing something serious, it's a missed opportunity. And I never talked to the director about it, and it is what it is. But when I saw the film, I was like, yeah, it works. It could have been better.
Well, I hate to
Sorry, I'm just
close it all out without more questions, but we may have to do a part 2 of this at some point.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, listen, I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with this. If you're starting out, if you have the idea you want to be an actor, you can. But ask yourself a question. Am I good? Am I good? And don't listen to your family and friends. Like, truly test yourself somehow with an acting coach, in the classroom, at a theater. Truly, just be honest with yourself. For those who've already started and you're finding your way, think outside the box, man. Play closer to yourself, challenge yourself, but go to Instagram, find your community, go to those Instagram accounts, latch on to people. If you've been doing this a while, it applies to you too. And in the end, when you find yourself on the set, rise to the occasion. You've been doing this too long now. Stop fucking around and just sacrifice. Show what you can do. Show it. Show it. And people will see it. They will see you are a real actor with the skin in the game. And, you can have a career. And the reason we say you don't have to move to LA, because it's all happening here. But all of those scenes, all of that beautiful work you're creating on stage and in classes, eventually you need to be shooting something. And eventually you need to be represented by somebody. And they're doing their best, and they're not all great. But those scenes will go up and break down services. That's how they're casting everything. But those beautiful scenes that you put so much hard work in, they're not going to be able to tell what's what because it's an avalanche of performances. But you fill a need. And as long as you're filling it, you've got those scenes now building up, you are somebody. You're a living, breathing human being that can offer so much beauty in your performances and offering something very specific to you that nobody has. And that's where those beautiful performances come from. It has nothing to do with, you just playing with the idea of being an actor. You were a full-blown vessel who's come alive and are offering something incredible and nobody can touch because you're only competing with yourself. So in essence, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I'm sorry, I just talked too much. Thank you very much.
Thank you everybody for remember next week we have another workshop on Tuesday night. Go to the Texas Theater website and buy tickets for the screenings we're doing, and then we're going to have Donald Mowat, our makeup designer,
a short film called Stalled. Stalled.
Yeah.
There's an actor sitting up here in front. Mind you, he doesn't work for money. He's an incredible photographer, but I am in awe of what he does. And he acts in this film with multiple clones of himself that are so beyond me, that are just exceptional. And I could not have done that. But an incredible actor. He's local, but he's not a local. You know what I mean? In performance. You can see that on any streaming platform if you want it. That's a testament to somebody who understands that. Jacob, can you stand up so people can see your face? Yeah. Come say hi and talk to them. Thank you so much.